Hey guys, welcome on in. We're back to it again, another Photoshop tutorial with your boy, Mr. Kern. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a Photoshop nameplate. Now, what you've been doing over the last few days is you've been out there in the world taking photos of different objects that look like different letters. And these letters are going to represent your name, either your first or your last name. Depends on however you want to go about it. What we're going to do though is in Photoshop, what we're going to do is we are going to put these all together into a nameplate. We're going to use a few new tools. We're going to learn perspective warp, which is a really powerful tool that you can use in Photoshop. We're also going to do some cropping and some exporting and putting it all together. And then you'll have a chance to do a little bit of creative work on it, make your own choices, make it look good. So let's get into it. So first thing we want to do is hit create new here. And I'm going to name it. So I'm going to name mine Kern Nameplate. Now, as far as size goes, this is going to be kind of up to you and actually how long your name is. So for width, for each size, for each letter, we're going to do a 4 by 5, basically 4 width by 5 height, as you can see there. Now, the width for the entire thing is going to be however many letters you have times 4. So for myself, I'm going to do Kern. So I have 4 letters times 4. My width is going to be a total of 16 inches there. Okay. Height is going to be constant. We're going to keep it at 5 inches. So please leave it at 5. You may need to change this. If it says pixels, change it to inches. Orientation, obviously, we're looking for a landscape because it's wider than it is tall. Resolution, I'm going to keep it at 72 there. So you might want to change it if it's at 300 or whatever the default is. Everything else, we're going to leave it as is. Color mode, just make sure you're an RGB color. I know I've seen some of these go back to a grayscale. We don't want that yet. You'll see later on what we're talking about. So anyway, I'm going to hit create. And there is my canvas for my nameplate, okay? Now we got to start somewhere. We got to start with our letters here, and we're going to bring them into this. So I'm going to hit File, New, and this time around, I'm going to go just one letter. So width is going to be 4, height is 5, again 72. I'm going to name this one K because it's going to be the first letter of my name. So again, create, boom, look at that. All right, now I got to bring in my photo that I took for the letter K. I'm going to hit File, Place Embedded, and I'm going to find my K. There it is. I found a pair of scissors. So this pair of scissors, I think, represents a K pretty well. First thing I need to do is rotate it. Okay. Again, if you hold down Shift, it'll lock at 15-degree intervals. So I want 90 degrees here, so it's upright. And I'm going to resize it. Okay. And if you need to, you can rotate it to make sure that it fits right. Resize again. I'm going to rotate it again. Resize. And I can move it. I want to keep that post note out. I think it's a little distracting. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. I think that's good. So I'm going to hit Enter on my keyboard to lock in that edit. And I think that's a good look. So once you have it where you like it, what we're going to do is we're going to hit File, Export, Quick Export as PNG, and I'm just going to save this as the letter K. Okay, so K, make sure I'm going to save it to my desktop just so I can keep it all straight. Actually, I'm going to go to Downloads. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this one Letters and save it as K. So there we go. There's my K. Now, what I can do, now that I'm done with my K, I can get rid of it. I can just delete this layer here. Like if you just click on it, hit the delete key on your keyboard, boom, gone. And we can try our next letter. So I'm going to, again, place embedded. I'm looking for my letter E, which is this window. We're gonna do some fun stuff with this one. This one's interesting, okay? And I'm gonna rotate it again. And I think that, again, holding down Shift, resize. This one's going to get a little bit more interesting because you can see that I got to keep that E together. It's a little bit crooked, and it doesn't fill up the space. Okay. So I'm going to hit enter, lock it in, and I'm going to teach you a new thing, and it's called edit. We're going to do perspective warp. Okay. Perspective warp is pretty interesting. Basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a box, and I'm going to change this here in just a second. And in this box, I'm going to move these dots to the corners of what I want to keep. Okay. And like I said, I want to keep this E. And you can see that because of the angle that I took the photo, not quite what I'm looking for. I'm going to cut it in here, so I'm not keeping that bottom portion of it. Okay. And you can see that's a little bit funky, right? Like the angle of it's weird. I'm going to get a little bit more black in that. I think that looks good. So if I hit enter, what it does, let's get rid of that, is it puts these little things on here, okay? These little targets. And now what I can do is I can drag these targets out to the corner of my box. And it's gonna look a little bit funky while we do it, okay? And I'm gonna drag them out, okay? Now, in a perfect world, I would have taken a terrific photo from a good angle, but that just didn't happen. Okay. So once you get it where you want it, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. It's going to lock it into place. And there is my E. Okay. In all of its glory. In fact, if I move it, oh, actually, it already cut it. So that's fine. All right. So there we go. Lock it into place. There we go. There's my E. So I'm going to go ahead and file, export, quick export as PNG. This is the letter E. Save. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, with perspective warp, you can do all kinds of weird stuff with that. You can change in architectural photography. You can actually change the building shape. You can change which side of the building you're actually looking at, and it looks. Sometimes it looks a little funky, but usually it looks pretty good. So I'm going to go to my next one. I'm going to delete this again. I've already exported it. It's gone. File, place embedded. And I'm moving on to the letter R. Now R, I have this guitar here. There we go. And again, I'm going to rotate it, holding down shift. There's the guitar. And I thought the head of this guitar looked very R-shaped. So again, I'm going to resize it until I get my R the way I want it. Yeah, you see it like the top here. You got the circle-y part. I think it'll work. So resize it some more. Again, you can pull from the side. If you want to stretch it and skew it, if you hold down shift while you resize, it'll do that. I don't recommend it, but if you need to for this project, that would work. All right, so I'm going to resize it where I want it. Again, I can rotate. The other thing I can do is I can actually go into, if I hit enter here, I can hit my crop tool and I can go to straighten and I can draw, click and hold, and I can draw a line down the side of this and it'll straighten it on that line. Okay. Then what I can do is I can move it around. There we go. Okay. So once I have that where I want it, I'm gonna hit Control T one more time and resize it a little bit more. Make it bigger at the bottom here. I think that looks good. I'm gonna hit enter. There's my R. So again, file, export, quick export as PNG. That is the letter R. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. We're bringing in our last letter. Luckily, I am blessed with a very short name. And we are going to my N. Now, this is the classroom chairs that I have. I noticed that if you look at them on their sides, they make an interesting N shape. Now on this, I don't want, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to straighten this one out first. Okay, so again, crop, straighten. I'm going to straighten along this line. No, I don't think I straightened it well. Let's do it again. Be a little more precise this way, this time. Oh, and it says I was right. It doesn't look right. Ugh, gross. Control Z. I'm going to stick with that. It tells me I'm right, so who am I to argue? Okay, and again, Control T to resize. Resize it so it takes out the edges there. There we go. And then if I wanted to, we're going to leave it like that. File, export, quick export as PNG. This is my letter N. Okay. So now what I can do is I can come back over here to my current nameplate. I can do file, place embedded. I'm going to find that file with all the letters in it. There it is. K. There's my K. Oh, hit enter to lock it in. File, place embedded, E. There's my E. File, oh, gotta hit enter. File, place embedded, R. You can stack it right next to it. Enter, place embedded, N. And there we go. Why is the size on that one a little goofy? Okay. So we'll just Control T. I resized it wrong, but we can just get it to fit. There we go. Enter, locks it in. There we go. And back to back to back to back to back. There are our letters. Okay. So what we could do here is we could put all this together. And we can put this into a larger frame if we want to. If we want to put a frame around it, we definitely could do that. So if we hit merge visible, it all becomes one layer. And we could move that. Oops, control, there we go. We could move that to another background if we wanted to. In fact, we could also shrink it down. Control T. Make it a little bit smaller. And what I could do here is enter. If I hit this little FX button down here in the bottom corner, we can add a stroke to it. Now, a stroke is basically an outline to the entire thing, okay? So we have our stroke here. We can change our color of our stroke. Personally, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a black color to it, okay? I'm gonna make size, the larger size of it. There we go. And then if you want to keep that stroke, obviously you'd make it a little bit larger. We could crop out the rest of it. Oop, I don't want that. Clear that. Control Z. I don't want that. Clear. It's trying to give me a 4x5 crop. So here we go. We're just gonna do this. Boom, enter. There we go, there's our names. From here, what you could do is you could go into your adjustments. You could do black and white to it to give it kind of a cooler look to it. But KERN, there we are. Again, you can change the different colors in there to affect your black and white. And then when you're all done, file, export, quick export as PNG. That's what we're after. That's what we're going to turn in. And that's a wrap on that. So there we go. In fact, the bell's about to ring. There it is. Perfect timing. And we'll catch you next time. Later, guys.